Welcome to another episode of Drive Time Discussions on Something to Think About TV. And guess who I'm with? The one and only, the master disaster, the most intelligent man in
the car.
Our True History.
Hi everybody. Hopefully it's going to be another good one today.
Yes.
And what are we chatting about today?
We are chatting about the moon landings.
Oh.
Do you know anything about that?
So you mean, are they real?
We can discuss, is it real? Are they real? And I have a feeling we might have slightly different perspectives on this, but that's what it's all about. And also just anything surrounding the moon landings, which would be interesting for the listeners.
Is the moon really made of cheese, or is it hollow, like some people are saying? Is it an alien spaceship? So that'll be interesting. Yeah,
and also the people that is involved in the moon landing, are they sworn to secrecy for certain reasons? Are they part of a society and all that kind of stuff?
You know von Braun was one of the German Nazi people that was doing their rockets to hit
V2 rockets. Yeah.
So he was brought over on Operation Paperclip.
Yes.
To help start up NASA, which is kind of an ironic thing. You know, you're at war with someone and then you bring over loads of their people to help.
Isn't that ironic that the very people that supposedly the Allies were fighting against, they just took them in and gave them asylum, should I say, safe asylum, and used their everything that they knew for, not I wouldn't say for good, for more bad.
And that leads it on to, did they do that because of the Antarctica base that supposedly the Nazis had found thanks to an alien race, reptilian race, that showed them where a base is under the ice. So if Nazis were there and had found an old ancient base that a previous alien society had, and they had this technology, so maybe the Americans thought, well, we can't beat them, we might as well join them, and then brought over the scientists.
Yeah, absolutely. There's probably so much behind that, and they'd never make that public that happened, but everyone knows that happened. Everyone knows that they brought them over.
Oh yeah.
And that leads on to the fact that there's lots of evidence to point out that Hitler never died in that bunker.
No, I mean,
apparently he escaped to Argentina.
Yeah. I mean, I heard he went to Antarctica first, and then moved on from there because there were submarines going from Germany direct to the Antarctica underneath the ice to get into this secret bunker, secret complex under the ice. So, I mean, whether or not he went there first or not, I don't know.
I think he settled in Argentina, wherever he went first. Like I say, he might have gone to wherever you said, but there's lots of evidence pointing out that he settled in Argentina. Even there's even people that when they were young were working at the hotel that he was staying at, because Argentina were known to be very right wing, and lots of the Nazis visited this like a spa summer camp place in Argentina,
right,
set away from all public view.
Well, he had lookalikes that did public engagements and things. So it doesn't take an Einstein, and that's another story for another day.
We can talk about that. Well, we can talk about that another time. But let's get back onto the moon landings.
But I mean, so it doesn't take an Einstein to figure out that he may have had a lookalike that was probably bumped off in that bunker that he supposedly died in.
And that skull fragment that's supposed to be from his head it's been proven it's not from his head.
Is it? Right, okay. So, the moon landings, obviously you've got the Apollo 11 first moon landing.
Right.
So your thoughts on that?
I'm not too familiar on the specific landings. Is it the first original one?
Yeah, it's the Neil
Armstrong. Oh yeah, I get mixed up with the different Apollos. Okay, so my view is I don't think they actually went there. Not on that occasion anyway. Not that occasion that is shown on TV in black and white with them bounding around in their suits. And
why do you think that?
Because I think it was all such a competition to see who could land on the moon first. There was a massive competition with Russia, and I think it was done in a studio, and lots of experts have looked at that footage now and said that they reckon it's a studio.
And what about Stanley
flag.
Kubrick's confession that he actually filmed it?
There you go. There's another important fact.
There's your problem right there.
And also,
You got someone that says he admits he filmed it.
they say that Flag, another giveaway, is Flag. He's got a rod in it and make it look like there's wind flowing and there's lots and lots of holes in that.
I mean, the thing that worries me is, literally they were grasping for every ounce on there. So they end up bringing a tripod for a camera to film them dancing around, which I wouldn't have done if I was. And then a pole for the extra pole for the flag and stuff. I don't know. I can't remember if it was that moon landing. The one was it that one where the camera then pans up as the ship
is that one.
Okay, so it pans up, so they must have had a pan and tilt head with a remote sensor on that. This is 1967, I think, and left that camera broadcasting as it went up. The weight of all of that equipment alone would have, burnt up a hell of a lot of fuel that they could have desperately needed. And so it would have had to have had some sort of tracking device to follow I mean, now we've got cameras that can recognise.
We've got that now, but they didn't have it in the 1960s.
The camera wouldn't have known, or the gyro or tripod wouldn't have known to tilt up.
Of course not.
As the ship went up.
And also that they managed to phone back to the NASA headquarters, and it was all on live TV by a little handheld phone. They didn't have that capability in 1967 to phone from the moon. Just know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
And then my biggest gripe was they had the technology to live broadcast it to or stream it or whatever you want to call it, pump it out to TV stations around the world. So the same feed that NASA got, they could have, even if they delayed it, as they do, instead of it actually being live, they would have probably delayed it by 5-10 minutes just in case something happened. They don't want people grossly grossed out if something happened to one of the astronauts, imploded or something, if it was all real. But what they'd done, instead of giving everyone a live feed or direct feed, they filmed a projector screen projecting it. Now, I looked into when the first digital projectors were out, and they weren't out really at that point. So it would have been film stock, which is 8mm Super 8, 35s, 70mm IMAX and all that kind of stuff. So for them to have projected it live onto a projector screen, they would have used film stock. Now, if you use film stock, it means you've pre-recorded it because it's film stock. You can't. It's not digital. It's not like a digital projector that could have projected it. So, it was already pre-filmed, I reckon, which means it could have been that in the sound stage that they was talking about that was filmed. And the other reason why they did that, I believe, is to make it blurry enough that people wouldn't recognise any stars there. Because as soon as there's people out there that will pick up and say, "Oh, that's not the Orion's belt," or "That's not this or that."
Yeah, it's a little bit vague for them,
Yeah, it was blurry enough that they could get away with it.
Yeah, and also, Buzz Aldrin, right?
Yes.
He actually admitted that they've not been to the moon.
Yeah, so tell me about that one. I know
it was in a conversation with a little girl, wasn't it?
Girl, that's right. Yeah.
And she was talking about space or the moon, and he said, "Well, you do know we've never been there, right?" Or something, words to that effect.
Yeah. Yeah, and he, I mean, there's so many things. Like there's a body reading expert that done Neil Armstrong after he'd come back, and he was doing an interview.
Press conference.
Well, there was that one, but he also did an interview with Sir Patrick Moore, who was a famous British astrologer. And so he's sitting there, and I hadn't seen the interview before this body language expert reviewed it, but he reviewed it and basically said deception. So Sir Patrick Moore was asking things like, "So what's it like to be on the moon?" And Neil was like, "Yes, it was okay. It it was fine type of thing. You know, there was not one bit of, and he was very cautious of how he said things.
No
you know,
enthusiasm.
yeah. So
No excitement. You've just been to the fucking moon.
I know, and he looks down apparently. You know, instead of
Yeah.
looking directly in the eye, going, "This was amazing. You know, it's the best thing ever. I'm a hero."
How would you feel if you'd been to the moon, done something? You'd be elated.
Yeah, you'd
Be buzzing, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're the first person to do something in the history of the planet.
You'd
Yeah.
be nuts.
You'd be smiling from ear to ear when someone says "well done." You'd be like, "Yeah, I'm the man."
Well done it.
But he wasn't. And in the press conferences that you've also seen,
Yeah. They look miserable and
oh god, yeah,
solemn, as you can imagine.
yeah.
That is not what a team of people would look like if they'd been to the moon and done something so amazing. So
Well, I mean,
these things.
Yeah, I mean, you look at all the NASA people when it landed. They're all, you know, cuts to the live shot of them inside the control center.
Right.
They're all jumping up and clapping. Woo! Yeah, yeah, yeah. You'd think that enthusiasm when they come back and do the first press conference would be there. It's like, but
Yeah.
there wasn't. There was just
Nothing.
So that again, all you put everything together, and obviously there's other things like there's a number on a rock.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I think I had seen that before previously.
It looks like
there's quite a
someone
few
wrote-
different things, isn't there?
Yeah, there's-
Also something to do with shadows, and there's quite a lot of
And
things.
the lighting, and,
yeah.
And there was the biggest one was experts have said that where the moon lander landed,
Yeah.
it should have created a little tiny crater.
Yeah.
In other words, got rid of the dust, and the dust then should have been settled on top of the steps, on top of the feet of the lander.
Yeah.
But it was pristine. There was not one bit of speck of dust on the lander's feet or anything.
Right.
So, you know, you've got this thing that comes down and it jets out, you know, a propulsion jet to slow it down,
Yeah.
and there was nothing there. There's no residual dust landing on it, which should have happened. So
Are we in agreement there that we think
Oh, the
at least
first
the
one.
original moon landing, the one that's the black and white famous moon landing, is a pile of shite? It's not.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's also other people saying, you know, they couldn't have got past the Van Allen belt and things like that.
Yes,
And-
and that's another thing. Is that, you know, if you, as a kid, we all visited the Science Museum in London, right? And the extra spaceship's there, isn't it?
module.
The module, yeah. That looks like something I made. It's made out of kitchen foil.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Do you know what I mean? Like when you're a kid, you look at it and you kind of think, oh wow. But when you're an adult going back, it looks like something you made in a garage.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of the tin foil, that's, I'm guessing, is to protect them from the radiation, which a lot of people say there's no way they could
can
have
get through it.
survived the radiation.
No.
So I think we'll have to call the first one, you know, a race against, as you say, a race against Russia, and therefore it's a
It was a phony.
fake one. Yeah. Now, what about the subsequent ones?
Okay, tell me what you think.
Well, I think some of the subsequent ones probably did get there, and I think they wanted to go there not for the reasons that we know.
Other reasons.
Yeah, like the back of the moon, really, to find out and what's going on back there. But I've also seen pictures, and they're on the internet, of different moon landings, you know, like years apart, and they land in different places on the moon. You know, because each time they supposedly land on. But obviously back then people didn't have internet, so they would never have been able to check these pictures out. But the pictures are identical, except for where you know, whoever's wearing the spacesuit. The rocks and everything are exactly the same. You know, you can marry the two up, and they line up exactly. And these are supposed to be two different places on the moon and many years apart.
So what's that about then?
So they've basically got a set or a location somewhere
That they do it from.
that they went and shot. Yeah,
That's what I believe.
yeah. I think it's
I'm
probably
in
more a
agreement with
set, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's so many things when you look into, like anything, when you actually delve into it and use your logic and things like that, you can see that there's so much bullshittery going on to us. For whatever reason they have for doing it,
Yeah.
there's always an agenda behind things.
Well, I mean, it was, you know, the sort of Cold War and stuff coming up then, so they had to prove to Russia that they had air, I
They had the
guess,
upper hand.
air superiority or whatever. But I mean, there was ham radio people used to listen into them because they back then obviously they're secure. Their channels weren't that secure. And one of the things that so I believe certain things went up. Now I believe they went up. Sorry, going back to the first one.
Yeah.
From what I understand, they went up and they all just basically stayed in orbit. And then then the video was shown, and then they come back down. But sometimes ham radio people was listening, and there's a code word for aliens, and one of that is Santa Claus.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So these people recorded, ham radio enthusiasts recorded live chats between NASA and Thingy before they switched over to the securest channel they had. And you can hear one of the astronauts say Santa Claus is real. So basically they'd seen UFOs up there. Well, I don't think that was Apollo 11, I think that was another one, but I might be wrong.
So yeah, I was going to say to you, what do you think the reasons are for lying so much about the lunar lens? But I suppose it's, like you say, it's the competition.
Well, I think first of all it was the competition, but I think then it changed to what's on the backside of the moon, because obviously by then they were really sure there was UFOs and aliens and stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's that story about that space woman. People call her the Mona Lisa. She was supposed to be on this ancient, millions of years old spaceship that's been on the moon, just sitting there. And now it's supposed to be. Do you remember the Oumuamua? I can never pronounce it. I call it Umi, but it's the Oumuamua, the big rock that cigar shaped that flew past us a couple of years back.
Yeah.
Well, that was a hollowed out spaceship. So basically, what aliens do is where we put nuts and bolts, they have the technology just to dig straight into a mountain and yank out, using beams and whatever else, and yank out a whole chunk of rock. And then they make one entrance into it, and then they hollow it out. So you've only got one part that could go wrong with it from the outside, instead of nuts and bolts and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So there was another one of these Umi type things on the moon, and supposedly one of the missions had an extra person or extra two people that went into this craft deliberately without the public knowing. These extra people was on the space mission. Went through this mile long or however long it was, massive craft. Finally came to. It's all been ripped to pieces by other aliens over the millions of years. But at one end, they went through this door, and there was this, which you can see the picture online, what they call the Moon Woman or Mona Lisa.
I saw a picture of that. Yeah. You done a post on it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Now, supposedly, according to a whistleblower, she looked Polynese, and she was hooked up either she was half computer, half android, or she was hooked up to a computer. There's some debate on that.
Yeah.
But either way, somehow connected to a computer mainframe of some description. And they brought her body back. What they'd done with it after that, I don't know. But
lock up.
that's an interesting story. And also, there was a device in that same room that was flashing. That was a power source of some description, and the whistleblower that was talking about it wasn't me. They don't talk to me direct, whistleblowers, but you can find this information out online. And he said that this power source had been going for millions of years, so that was something they was obviously interested in. So I think they probably did go back again to get that, because there's no way they would leave something that can be powered that long.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely agree with you. I saw some stuff a couple of years ago now. It was Buzz Aldrin that was on the front of, I can't remember which magazine it was. It might have been National Geographic or something like that, a very popular magazine, and he's on the front and he's giving the old the one eye symbolism. Do you know about that?
No, go ahead, tell me.
So Freemasons and the Illuminati, and whether you believe in that or not, one eye symbolism in the music industry and movie industry and general celebrityism kind of thing, famous. There's a lot of this one eye symbolism where they cover one eye and have one eye showing.
Right.
I will do a separate post on it so you can see it. I actually done one the other day on my TikTok, which is normally a show of allegiance to a secret society that you're involved in.
Right.
And Buzz Aldrin was on the front of this magazine. You can probably Google it and find that magazine cover. And swearing allegiance to a secret society.
Which is weird because he is actually outspoken about seeing UFOs. I mean, that, you can Google that. He talks about seeing UFOs up in space.
Yeah.
So for him to be part of a secret society,
yeah, and he is,
and be that outspoken is interesting.
Yeah, but maybe it's part of a plan to confuse and distract us for certain things.
Yeah.
I don't know, but he was definitely doing it. So there's that as well. So I believe that first lot were definitely part of something, and still are.
So what's on the backside of the moon then?
Not too sure. McDonald's?
Because China's sent probes up now, and McDonald's.
You just caught on to that, didn't you?
Well, Tesla, what's his name, wants to go be the first man to the moon, doesn't Mars?
That's Elon Musk, right?
Yeah.
Is that Elon Musk?
Yeah. What do you reckon? I mean, he's got the equipment, talking about
Can
NASA.
he do it? Could he do it? Or, will it be fake to do it? Didn't you see that? Then car? Do you remember when they put one of them cars up?
Yeah.
That was all bullshit as well.
Why?
Apparently, experts have looked at it now and said that the reflections and the way it was all like loads of CGI involved in it and stuff. I'll find and I'll do something on that as well.
I mean, he has the rockets to put his own car up, and he's got the money to waste to put his own car up.
Yeah,
so
yes.
I can't imagine him wanting to be debunked. I don't think he's the sort of person that likes to someone to call him out on.
I wouldn't have thought so, but there was lots of speculation about that.
Problem is, though, with these, with everything, as I was saying on my own channel, you've got these fake sites, that say fake check or fact check.
Oh, Snopes. Snopes isn't it? Snoops or whatever it's called.
And I worry that they debunk absolutely everything.
They're so corrupt. They debunk everything.
Yeah.
Anything, all the information I used to put out there about stuff, you'd get someone who would disagree with you and basically put a Snoops or Snopes link, whatever it's called, and they're just such a propaganda bullshitting.
So that's the problem, isn't it? When you can't trust.
Yeah.
You can't trust the sites that say that you can trust them, and you can't trust the main media, and you can't trust NASA. And
no, often we find, don't we, in everything, that whatever is pushed in front of you and you're told is the truth,
it's probably the opposite.
It's probably the opposite,
Yeah.
and we found it in so many things, topics, right? So it doesn't mean that everything that's pushed in front of you is fake, and it's always the opposite. But you should always approach it with an open mind and think, that's what I think anyway.
Definitely. So, in your opinion, I mean, I've got my own, but what do you think's on the backside of the moon? Don't say McDonald's.
It could be anything, couldn't it? If people believe in alien life, then it could be something to do with that. It could also be some kind of base that has been built there. Who knows? Evidence of something.
And have you looked at the structures on the moon and Mars?
I've seen some pictures of it, yeah.
There's some interesting structures. So I struggle with this because the structures are obviously ancient.
Yeah, they are. Like pyramids and stuff like that.
Yeah, massive. Some of these things are like 3 miles high and whatnot.
Yeah, to forget it's huge.
Yeah, and I struggle with the whole, well, why didn't aliens, if they are in the backside of the moon, which I believe they are, why did they not build bases on the front side? Now, I know they go into craters to, so that's where the bunkers are, that's where they go into the moon. But, I don't know, see, people say, well, it's facing one way and they hide in behind the back of the moon. And my argument was they would probably been there a lot longer than we had telescopes. So why would they need to hide? The moon's been there for, millions, if not billions of years. Why would any sentient creature need to hide from dinosaurs looking up at the moon? We've only recently, let's be honest, in the last few hundred years, had decent enough telescopes to look and see that minute details.
Yeah.
So
what we've got to remember is, they hide everything from us. They don't want us to know stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we can see them flying around. I mean, people took videos of them. You generally need the night vision type cameras, but some people have caught ships flying around the moon. But then you get the debunkers that say, well, you know, I can recreate that on a computer, therefore the original was done like that.
There you go.
We're coming to an end now.
Yeah, that was a great discussion. Give listeners something different something to think about.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, everyone listening to this episode on the moon landings and stuff around it, thank you very much for listening. We'll be back soon with another episode and another topic.
Yeah, and you can catch us both on
TikTok. Might look for TikTok, look for something to think about TV and follow. Lots of posts on there. And also look for Our True History on TikTok.
And on YouTube. Yeah, on YouTube, because there's other things on YouTube that's not on TikTok that's a lot longer, like the thing that we've just done today. So hopefully you'll join all of us and contribute with some of your stories and your thoughts.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening, and catch you again for another episode of Drive Time Discussions. Catch you later.